Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. It's E and we're on our way to the Connecticon. I am going to be guesting on a panel speaking about disabilities. Super nervous. I know I keep saying that like I'm super nervous, but I am. And as you can see, I decided to go with the full like goatee vibe for Mr. Aizawa.
Yeah, wherever you, sit there. That'd be awesome.
Thank you. You look amazing. Thank you.
Don't fall asleep during the panel. Here is going to introduce themselves. We will start with E, please.
My name's Elisha. Just my name, right?
Yeah, you can say that. I can talk about you. My favorite photo is the one that I have up there with E as Lord Death. But I've been following E for some time now. Extremely talented cosplayer. And I know her husband Mike is here. Thank you for joining us, Mike. Come on in, guys. In all my panels that went in this morning, we are a cosplay family. I always see that as that. This is a wonderful group. You can reach out to any of us at any time if you have any questions. But I think of that as, I'm really passionate about cosplay. I think of us as a family. This is very informal. If you have a question at any point, just reach out. Feel free to ask us. Right there.
My name is Raven. I'm a born deaf. So I like doing cosplay and art, and I always love cosplay.
That is awesome. You are a beautiful cosplayer. Amber, tell us a little bit about yourself.
I'm Amber. I've been cosplaying for almost 1 year now, but I've been really active in the accessibility campaigns at a lot of different facilities that are historical organizations. And I also worked as a CNA and cared for my disabled father, who was a big convention goer and cosplayer. So I have a lot of insight on what places go through when they're trying to really be as accessible and open to everyone as they possibly can be. I'm very passionate about it.
That's awesome. One of the things that struck me is I have a lot of friends and family that are disabled. And I try to be so open and in tune, and there's still things I notice I'm not doing. We were talking, Amber, and for one of your cosplays, you needed a straw to drink.
Yes.
And Amber's like, I can't find a straw. And then she's like, imagine if someone needs a straw, not just because of cosplay, because of a disability. You want to expand on that a little?
I do. So my father actually was unable to be able to drink a beverage without a straw if he didn't have support. So being unable to find a straw in a place was something that we were challenged with a lot at conventions when I would go with him. And it was such a simple thing that really changed his own ability to be independent. So even things like that are things that I pick up on a lot because I just can't stop thinking about that need and that he wouldn't have been able to do that independently at all. So something as a straw would keep him from doing a convention.
Thank you. I love that awareness. So regardless if we're disabled or not, having that awareness and supporting everyone, extremely important. Lovely. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hi, I'm Bubby, or Bubs for short. I have been Raven's friend for the past 4 years now. Very close, we used to work together. But I'm mainly here for her, to support her, and to interpret for her.
Yeah, and you must have a great perspective as well, so you can share with us today. This is not about me. I've been cosplaying for a while. This is about this group. For those who just came in as well, any questions, just interrupt. That's the format I like for all of my panels. So before I ask this question of the group, the format for this is there'll be a series of questions I'm going to ask them, sort of like an MC host for this. Love to hear their answers. Then there'll be a Q&A as well at the end. So let's get started, and don't make me call out somebody. I'll just leave this as an open question. But tell me, down the line. All right. Amber, what does cosplay mean to you?
What does cosplay mean to me? Cosplay to me means it's an opportunity to really play into something that you're really passionate about, and being able to really embody something that puts you outside of what you normally feel every single day or how you want to be. I find characters I'm really passionate about, and being able to bring those to life brings me a lot of joy, and then when I see the joy it brings people, that just elevates it even more. So that's what it means to me.
I love that. It's we've spoken about this. It's something I'm passionate, but I think it is such a healthy environment. Creativity, being able to have confidence, being able to do stuff, meet new people, grow a cosplay family. So I like that. E, what does cosplay mean to you? You've done some amazing cosplays for so long. In terms of content creation, you're not following E. Just alone on that, you put out great content, always doing amazing things, always challenging yourself. What does cosplay mean to you?
How can I go off of what she said? Everything she said.
That's
and
okay.
No, yeah, just being able to like become a character that's not myself. Like,
Yeah.
going somewhere else that I can't go in real life. I'm 35 years old, and to be able to have the imagination and create no matter what age I am and feel comfortable, confident, it's a whole different feeling.
Yeah, don't make me feel old, Nate. That is great. Bubby, what does cosplay mean to you?
Oh, you're asking me?
Yes, I'm going straight to you. Raven's going last.
Well, to me, oh, geez, I wasn't prepared. Cosplay means to me kind of similar to E here. It's an outlet for me to become like a character that's not myself, and I can make videos, I can do pictures, and kind of perform and act that's a person that's like not me. So.
That's awesome. All right, Raven.
Cosplay means to me because I love dressing up and making costumes and wigs and makeup because I like the characters and acting and doing photos and videos, everything. I just love making myself happy and I'm proud.
That's awesome. And the four of you, just seeing you guys when you're cosplaying, I love that. It's very enlightening to me. All right, our next question. If you're comfortable, tell me what your disability is. Amber, in your case, if you want to talk about anything with respect to this, totally fine. If you want to share, totally cool if you don't. And how did you become disabled? And while you're thinking about that, for our attendees here, does anybody want to share what cosplay means to you? I use different names for my kid. I'll use Spawn often, but my Spawn in Colorado, actually the latest is homunculus. Is what they like, my little creation. But my Spawn in Colorado, they and their partner are trans, and we started cosplaying about 6 years ago, and it was a great outlet both for them, finding their identity and becoming really confident. And I remember when they graduated high school, they had no problem talking in front of their class, but it was all because of this cosplay and the competition and just being able, and they met some amazing people like Alan Tudyk, who's the voice of K2SO, and others. So totally can relate to both of those. Thank you for sharing that. By the way, I decided just to project and not use the microphone. If anybody says something you want me to repeat it, please let me know. So, you had some time to think. I won't go from this end. I'm going to go at E. E, if you want to share. Totally cool if you don't, but what is your disability and how did you become disabled?
Okay, my disability is I have FND and POTS. FND stands for Functional Neurological Disorder, and POTS is Postural Orthostatic Tachycardia Syndrome.
Thank you for sharing. Yeah, that's and Raven, I know you mentioned this already, but your disability, deaf from birth, from childhood. Yes, that's awesome. Yeah. Cool. Not necessarily disability, but friends, family. Do you guys have that, Bubby and Amber, as well?
No, not really.
Amber, anything on your end?
Support.
As far as disabilities, caring for my father, caring for friends of mine, for me it took a long time to become comfortable being a cosplayer because of really difficult issues with anxiety, depression, and body dysmorphia. So almost crippling social anxiety disorder. It took me about 5 years of convention volunteering before I actually spoke to somebody. So it's a big challenge to get over as well. Different, but very hard.
That's awesome. And I know probably next year you'll have an Everybody Can Cosplay panel.
Yes.
Which, I'd be looking forward to that if you do that. My creative offspring has anxiety, PTSD, ADHD, and I know when they were cosplaying, they really became comfortable. It was such a good environment. I could see, we were really close, and I could see night and day the difference when they were thriving at a con.
Because I make myself happy and proud, be deaf, but it never stopped me to do cosplay or draw. But people are bad. So sorry. Bad people.
Sure.
Talk about talk shit. Stop working hard. Always make myself happy. She's proud. Never stopped me because I'm deaf. And she's proud.
That's awesome. I think it's the
Sorry.
first time I've heard
I
Raven.
maybe missed.
Oh, that's the first time she swore I've heard.
Oh yeah,
So.
she curses all the time. Yeah.
So E, for you, I feel like it doesn't impact you at all because I see some amazing.
Not till I get to conventions.
Oh,
I
gotcha.
think so.
Yeah, good clarification. Talk to me about that.
Because at home it's nice because I can go from using my cane or not using my cane, but conventions I need my chair.
Yeah.
I can't do a whole convention walking around with just my cane or with nothing. So yeah, that's where
There is an impact to that. Yes.
and it does affect my outfit because my Sindel that I built, I didn't think to make it for me sitting in the chair as long as I was going to be sitting, and it's not chair friendly at all.
Right.
Extremely stiff. So
Gotcha.
when you're coming to conventions, it does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know for my creative offspring, they can get overwhelmed. So we've done like a 10-foot Iron Giant and on stilts and all these things. But as a handler for them, I have to be in tune and tell people like, we are taking a break and find some quiet spot. There's only so much they can go. I can go like all day on these stilts, but that's not the case for everyone. So that impacts. Amber and Bubby, anything you guys want to add on this question? On how disabilities impact cosplays? Maybe something you've seen. Amber, your dad.
Yes. For me personally, there wasn't a lot of impact on it other than just getting the anxiety in check to try cosplay. But there was a lot of learning curve with my father, helping him just navigate any kind of convention. If he wanted to be in a cosplay, which he did do a few times, he was in a wheelchair, he was not able to use a restroom by himself, and he was on an oxygen tank 24 hours a day. So we would navigate that, but really, as far as his cosplay himself, he had to be comfortable. We had to know that we could get him in and out of a chair with assistance, or that I would be able to navigate helping him do his basic functions. And in turn, also keeping in mind the facilities that we were going to. So sometimes I did not do good enough research on the places we were going to and would find out that we were going to be walking almost 3/4 of a mile to get to an elevator, and we had no choice but to use an elevator. So there was a lot of that learning, understanding, and really figuring out locations, opting out of certain conventions he was interested in because we would spend most of our time just going from point A to point B and not actually getting to anything in a good amount of time. So really learning how to navigate his own comfort, his accessibility, and also really being almost a irritating person to some of those people in these buildings that I'd be calling, because I really wanted to understand, what is the grade of this ramp? I've gotten to ramps that are accessible that I could not physically push him up because I was not strong enough to go that far at that grade. So really, really learning the spaces and hoping that you get people like Tori or people that work in spaces that really are ready to listen, help you, talk to you, know the answers to these questions. And when people would say, oh, you can get from the elevator to the ballroom in about 5 minutes if you hurry. And I was like, well, what does hurry mean for you?
Right.
Because for me, hurry means take my time to be safe with my dad. So it's an interesting to really know if the people you're talking to really understand what it means to be facing challenges with just getting one place to the next. That was at Animate Boston. We were in Animate Boston, and there was we're going through vendor hall, and it was very, very congested. So congested that nobody could move. I mean, nobody could move. People were getting frustrated. So Jack is up on stilts, and I am below him, and I'm handling for him, and I said, there is something blocking this, and there's someone in a wheelchair that is stuck right there, and they could not move. They couldn't go backwards. They couldn't go forwards. People were starting to push against them because people couldn't see that there was someone even there. So Jack, I'm telling Jack's then using his voice and his sight to try to help people understand that surging right now was not the right thing to do. It's never the right thing to do. But really it was, helping people understand, because this person who was shredding on a guitar and blocking the entire vendor aisle really didn't understand what they were causing to happen, this cause and effect. And this poor family was visually getting very terrified over what was happening and their inability to shift in any direction. So being that awareness and being able to utilize the views, the voice, being a strong voice when you see things like that, it helps. Some people have no concept of what's happening, and it's okay to speak up and say it. It can be eye-opening and helps other people understand what's going on.
So important. When I'm on stilts, big cosplay, people would just clear a path for me. So I can leverage that, and we should all be aware of that. I know that there's a lot of friends of mine in this room that are advocates of make sure it's a safe place. Make sure that you're helping anybody else that you're seeing. And I think that's really important. Thank you for that. So in this next question, do you need any support when you cosplay? Where do you get that support? So yes, this could be everything as a handler when I'm in a large cosplay on stilts, but it's so much more than that. Amber, I'm going to start with you on that because you fulfilled this role in many areas. From your perspective, if you want to share what support you get, but also, and maybe just that side, what support do you provide for people?
As far as myself, I have a difficult time when there is a lot of noise or a lot of firing of questions. I actually can't really differentiate multiple things happening at one time, voice-wise. So sometimes it seems like I'm ignoring people, or I can't hear you because I actually cannot hear you. My brain really only can function on about one thing at a time, just because of how my anxiety and my ADHD works. So that can be difficult when you're in a cosplay when a lot of people want to take pictures or to get your attention when you're not able to hear what's happening here and here and here at the same time. So that is challenging. So it is helpful for me when I have people who can kind of visually say, she needs a minute, or gets my attention to bring it over. That's always very important. But really being aware of the people I've been supporting as a handler, which I've done much more than cosplaying myself, is knowing the space they need to turn, knowing how to use any of their supports that they have, knowing when people look tired, look thirsty, even paying attention to people around us. We've done some horror cosplay, which is really fun, but can be quite terrifying looking. And we have had moments where I've said, Jack, we should not go over there to rest or take off our stilts, because I can tell that these people are very freaked out by us. And it's making them have a panic attack. I can see it happening, I feel it happening, and we'll say, we'll go over here instead, and we'll just steer away from that. And that is, it takes time to understand that, but if you ever experience those things yourself, you do know how to recognize them. And that was helpful for Jack to see and to hear. And we were right. I should check in with them. I was less terrifying looking than him, and they were totally freaked out by us, and they were very thankful that we were. So that was, just being that awareness and really having that compassionate understanding that you really cannot guess what anybody's situation is. But the best thing you can do is be as kind and understanding and compassionate and give space, be spacious, as needed for just human beings.
Thank you for that. Connecticon is one of my favorite cons for many reasons. It's either my 5th or 6th year. But from cosplaying, there's so many cosplayers, the way it's laid out and everything. But I always like giving feedback. And one of the things I noticed in the vendor room this year is if you're first walking into the vendor room, the next to last row aisle is super narrow. Mm-hmm. And I was like, and there's probably limitations on how you lay out the vendors, but I'm like, that's super narrow. Became, when you're on stilts, Amber, and you're walking down there, and I've got this huge hammer. Like, okay, this is really narrow. But then, okay, I can handle that. What if someone wants to get down here and it's a narrow aisle and they can't? That's hurting the vendors, it's hurting them. So having that awareness, I think that's so key. You have your lovely husband here. I don't know how much you rely on him, but talk to me about what support you get and you need.
I get a lot of support from him, especially at conventions, because what Amber was saying, all of this is like a sensory overload for me, so I can't figure out where I'm going and steer my chair. I rely on him as leading the way, and I just kind of follow and just...
Right.
Yeah.
We got a new word, handler.
What's that?
A new word, handler.
Handler, yes, you are definitely that. Raven, what support do you need?
My family. When they see the post, alright. I was thinking, want to try to go, but I was nervous, deaf, because my dad. I'm sorry. You can't go. See RI Con. If you want to go, her dad said, okay. We go. It opened up her eyes. She loved it. Not cosplay, not then. It was her first time going to the con. And I saw it, I tried it, I wanted to try it, and I liked it. So, go the first time. I loved meeting people, nice people. I was talking, when I go home, talk with my mom about the cosplay. I want to try cosplay first time. And she did Ryuko, that's her first cosplay. So my mom and stepdad bought me a wig and a costume, and it made her happy. And she did her makeup and she was ready to go again to a con. And she's been going ever since 2015. Makes her happy. And she has her family to support her. What about me? All of us best. We support her all the time. Yeah.
That's beautiful. Bobby, anything you want to add on this topic?
Oh yeah, so the first time I went to RICon, she supported me. I was cosplaying Spider-Gwen.
Yeah.
But she actually helped me around the whole con because I've never gone before then. But it was nice. But I want to say for Raven, I think us the three of us friends here, we help her a lot, especially when there's like a lot of people like walking around. Like last year, she got like bumped into on the shoulder, and you know, Mickey here, she's like, hey, you can't just do that. Like there's people everywhere. You like need to watch where you're walking.
Makes sense, yeah.
So, you know, if she was like not there when it happened, like Raven would have just been like hurting or upset, you know, and it's just like sometimes it makes me like angry when they're not like paying attention.
Yeah.
So mostly it's just, you know, the talking to help communicate if she needs it, because sometimes too people, you know, they try to talk, it's like, oh, ha, 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 talk, and then she's like, whoa, I'm deaf, and then the people just, oh, and they walk away. And it's like, no, like, you can stay, I can interpret, like, it's okay, it's not weird, it's fine. So, that too. Oh, she's still, or it's the feeling sorry, pity you. She's like, no, I'm proud to be deaf, so it's fine.
Yeah.
She hates that. Right? She's proud to be deaf.
Yeah, my philosophy with both of you is I just push you even more. I'll be like, you should be doing this. You should do that. Come on, E. I forgot to mention in the intros, E is actually going to be a cosplay guest at Fan Expo Boston. If you do go to Fan Expo Boston, last year it was very overwhelming for my spawn, so keep that in mind. I hope they do a better job this year on that, but be aware. I'm going. I think it's a great con, but be aware. And then Raven is a cosplay guest at Anime Rhode Island, I just found out, in next week. Yeah, so that is super exciting. By no means am I implying in any way, but as a stilt walker, I notice things that are not conducive to me getting around. It makes me think more. So the layout of a con, Amber, I know you touched on this, point A to point B, oh, it's 5 minutes. Well, yeah, that's if, you know, you're not in a heavy cosplay and you're just walking over there and you have no disability. So there needs to be awareness about that. But I won't go in any sequence. Anybody can talk about this one. What are the challenges you're facing?
Who's first?
Anybody? You're going to make me pick. Raven.
Yeah, you go first?
Yes.
Sometimes people talk to me, why are you dressing that cosplay when that character is not like deaf? And I'm like, no, not like what you're hearing or deaf, doesn't matter, because I like the cosplay and the makeup. And second, and sometimes people push her and not say excuse me or anything. I'm like, what happened? It's not my fault. I'm not meaning, I can't see you and I can't hear you, I'm deaf. Nothing. They don't say anything. It makes her angry. But she needs patience. Fine, whatever.
Nice.
Sometimes it's hard, but I have patience.
You have a great mindset, Raven. Great. Yeah. E, challenges you're facing as a disabled cosplayer. For example, at Fan Expo, is there anything on the booth setup that you're going to need special or anything you're curious about?
I did let them know that I was going to need frequent breaks. That's my big concern. Again, because of sensory overload.
Absolutely.
Being at that booth for that long.
Right.
Having to be on. Other than that, I'd say like the comparing thing. Comparing myself to non-disabled cosplayers and trying to not measure up to what they're doing, but like, thinking that like I don't have my own that I need to worry about, so just comparing myself to me and staying in my own.
Awesome. Thank you guys for closing that door. Bubby, Amber, you guys want to add anything on that? On challenges you've seen disabled cosplayers or that you have?
I mean, she pretty much said it all.
Yeah.
The talking, the shoving, not saying like anything. That's much it.
Yeah. What do you think?
I think that a challenge that all people can go through is feeling like you have to look like this character to cosplay this character, and how important it is to know that what matters about cosplay is that you are passionate about a character, that you love it, you want to embody it. There are right and wrong ways to do that, but you don't have to be 8 feet tall to be Lady T. You do not, have to be a size 2 to be Alice from Resident Evil. That you love these characters, you put heart and energy and love into them. That's what matters. That's what cosplay is really about, is being able to embody something that makes you feel good. And even better if it makes other people feel good too. But feel good and feel passionate about what you're doing, and don't think you have to be a cookie cutter image of any character, because you do not.
Having a support network, regardless if you have a disability or not, is so key, not just in cosplay and everything. And there's such a welcoming community that I've seen. I know the 4 of you would welcome anyone in this room and help them, myself included, and most of the people I know. So there is a lot out there. Feel free to just talk to one of us. We'll introduce you to other people, and it'll just grow. You guys are so sweet. I know you'd support as well. It's an awesome group. Let's go to Q&A. We will start with the first one. Make sure I get this to the gist on your question.
No, I thought that I was going.
Oh, no, right here.
Okay.
Yeah, but feel free to ask a question. So that question is, you're doing a photo shoot. Does the photographer encourage you to use anything that helps you with your disability? Fair enough? Is that okay? Is that okay to do that? Is it inappropriate? What do you think, Dee?
I think if you word it in a way use what you feel most safe and comfortable with.
Sure.
I know, speaking for myself, I would use if I need my cane, I use my cane. And there's pictures that I take without my mobility aids, and they're on the floor, and they get edited out like my cane. Or I'll stand for a couple minutes and then be like, oh, I need a break, and then kneel down and then kind of work with that. But I know not everybody's very, verbal.
Yes, exactly. That's really good. What do you think, Raven? It's a tough question. Yeah.
You should probably ask first if they want to use it. If they don't want to use it, that's fine. But ask first. It's important.
Cool.
Because sometimes people like E, they can fall. That's scary. It's happened.
Yeah.
So ask first. Not make it rude. No, don't use it.
Yes.
Or use it.
Yes.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
ask first.
I would recommend you do not have a photographer that's telling you, you can't use that.
Yeah, that's just.
And I know you know the answer to this. It's a great question. All right, so we're gonna open up for Q&A. I'm gonna take advantage to ask the first one because it's something near and dear to my heart. I'm a huge X-Men fan, and I was curious, and this will apply to you as well, if I wanted to be Professor X and be in a wheelchair. Is that appropriate? And in our earlier panel, we talked about black paint and stuff like that.
Changing your skin tone.
Exactly, and everyone was great on that, and we were in a good spot. But what do you guys think? Is that appropriate that I'm Professor X in a wheelchair and I don't need a wheelchair? It's a tough question. What do you think, E?
See, I go back and forth with it. As a wheelchair user myself, I think there's a way to do it tastefully, and there's cosplays that people are doing as like jokes.
Right.
Like when people, I can't remember the movie, but like when you're, or freaking Superman.
Yeah.
Like when you do stuff like that,
Yeah.
I'm definitely against.
Sure.
But I feel like, because there's characters with glasses and people wear glasses, and I know there's a difference, obviously, between glasses and a wheelchair, but I think if you do it correctly and the person means well, it's not, like, I'm not fully against it.
Okay. Do you want to add anything from your perspective on this?
Yeah, like if they did something, if they don't need a wheelchair, they made something like the 90s X-Men, like
Yeah.
that whole thing.
Yeah.
I don't care if they need a wheelchair or not, that's cool.
Gotcha.
And they put in that much effort to it.
Right.
Right, that's
Yeah.
tastefully done.
Yeah, so Amber and I marched in a couple of pride parades. We were in the Boston Pride Parade marching on stilts and Middletown, Connecticut parade. One of the thoughts you had, and I thought was brilliant, was that I'd go as a leather daddy. And I thought it was so cool. And but then what I learned there is I have a large network of queer friends, and I reached out and I said, how would you feel about this? And it was 50-50. That means I'm not doing it. So I went as a proud parent, all in trans colors of my creative offspring, and that was a blast. I think asking and just reaching out in the community. Let me ask you a follow-up to that before I open the Q&A. There's the inappropriateness of it. There's another part which is, am I taking away a cosplay from someone that is an easier cosplay for them to do? So sometimes I'll hear, as an example, I'm trying to think, there may be a group that's doing a certain cosplay. Is that group? And if I do it, now I've in effect another person doing that cosplay, and I take some limelight away. For better or for worse, I've heard that topic. Any thoughts on that? Am I taking away a cosplay from a certain group if I did Professor X in a wheelchair? If that makes sense.
I don't think so, because I think people should look beyond finding, again, that's a mixture of people trying to find cosplays that they could do in a chair that are comfortable for them, and then thinking outside the box and thinking they don't have to be strictly into cosplays that, are characters in a chair.
Mm-hmm.
Some people feel comfortable doing that only. Other people, like, I don't have to be, oh, I have a chair, so now I have to cosplay. No, I want to do whatever.
Awesome. Anything you want to add on that? No? Good.
I totally agree.
Open Q&A. Yes, in the green hair.
Are there any hand signs that we can use more often than not if we do bump into somebody, whether they're deaf or not, that we can just be like sorry or excuse me?
It's a good question.
Sometimes people try to say thank you, but they do it wrong. They go from below, and that's the F word. Yeah, and then she's like, hold up. And then sometimes it's funny too. Yeah, so on top of your lips, thank you. That's a good basic sign. And sometimes they bump into me, sorry. Sorry, that's one to use too if you bump into someone.
Awesome.
I also recommend watching videos. I watch YouTube. He's a man. His name is Bill Vickers. He's a really good teacher. He's deaf. He posts on YouTube. They're like old videos, but they're good. Sometimes please don't use all the YouTube videos because they can be wrong. Because sometimes hearing people, make the wrong signs. That happens a lot more than you think. Like saying bad sign. Yeah, and then there's some people who just teach like the bad words. And,
What other questions, guys? Or if you want to share anything.
you know, to kind of play off the making hand motions, I actually think that is a wonderful tool to use to learn certain signs, because first it is a general, you can just get very into the habit of saying sorry and saying it in both ways at the same time. But when you are in a cosplay that maybe you cannot see someone's face, it is an incredible tool to being able to communicate to your handler or to your support network. So when Jack and I can't see each other's faces, we'll say, you know, break time, and it means we need to stop for whatever reason is. We've come up with some of our own, but we've been learning some better ones because we're trying to be able to incorporate that in a way that people can pick up on and start to learn as well. So sometimes telling people you need a break or you need to, you know, breathe or step away, being able to say it in lots of ways is powerful. And when people see those things, they feel empowered as well if they need those things. So I encourage everybody to use the correct signs too, to communicate. Just get into the habit of doing it. It's really, it can be just so encompassing all around for people.
Today we saw a man and he was like signing like wrong to like talk to us. What is your opinion and your thought on people trying to sign even though they can't? Like, how do you feel?
Sometimes I'm like, where'd you learn that? Or I'll make their own sign. Sometimes it doesn't make her happy. You need to learn. Sometimes watching YouTube, it's not. Sometimes it's not okay. But I want them to know. Sorry, YouTube. Oh, the one I watch. Yes, he's good. Sometimes it doesn't make her comfortable. I want you all to do the right ASL, but not want to make wrong signs. It's not acceptable.
That's good to know. Question.
Please don't do the wrong signs.
Question for E. E, I consider you a master cosplayer. Have you competed?
No, and I'm not a master of cosplay.
Well, that's what Fan Expo said. Masters of cosplay.
No, yeah, I read that and I'm like, excuse me, can you just stop?
A question to the group. Any advice for a new cosplayer? And I know we're at time, guys. We're just go a couple more minutes.
Please don't stop when bad people talk shit. Continue, keep going. Don't worry about them. You want to make yourself happy. Don't stop.
Where'd my tissue go?
I want to thank all of you. This is our handles. We have a couple more minutes, so you can come up and talk. Make sure you get one of Raven's cards.
Yes, Raven has
But
a card.
thank you all for coming.
Hey guys, so I just left the Connecticon. We did the panel and it went well. I am a little triggered.